Hey guys, what's up? So in this video we'll be creating a small VB.NET project which will be used for extracting an SSL certificate information from a given domain name. So let's get started. We'll start with creating a new project in VB.NET. Yeah, I'll go with Windows Form and next. I'll give the project name as read SSL certificate. So now we have an empty project. We'll resize the form first. Then we will add a button. Then we need two text boxes. So one text box will be for printing out the data whichever we obtain from the certificate. So here I will enable multi-line and I will resize it, and this text box I will keep it there because it is for the URL. We will be entering the URL in this text box and we will be getting the certificate output in this bigger text box. And I'll go to the properties. I'll make sure the other text box is aligned to the bottom, and I have docked it there to the bottom so that it will be always pinned to the bottom of the form. Now I will go here, I'll go to the properties, I'll keep the button name as button name itself. I'll change the text to fetch, and this is the text box 2 which will be printing out our data. So we will actually name it output text box, and this one as URL text box. Now we will go to the on-click listener for this particular button. So in order to make an HTTP request to a particular domain, we will be using the HTTP client, which is an async function. So we need to have a function or a subroutine which is actually async. So we will create async make request. So this is one subroutine. We will be using it here in the button. So when the button is clicked, we will create one task and we will pass the action as address of make request and then t1 dot start. And before this, we will make sure we empty the output text box. Now in this subroutine we will be actually calling the HTTP client to make the HTTP request for us. And also we have to create a handler which will be responsible for the callbacks, and then we will actually register a function server certificate callback which will be registered to the address of a function that we are actually going to define now. So this is the function signature that will be used for the particular function. You don't have to memorize it. We can get the definition anywhere. And now you can call this function anything. All you have to do is copy the address and give the address of the function to this particular handler. Now pass this handler as the argument for this particular method. Then using HTTP response message, which will be obtained from await client dot get async, which is for performing a get on this particular URL. Pass the URL here. URL will be actually fetched from this particular text box, which is nothing, our URL text box dot text. So now we have the client. The client is making a get request which is asynchronous, so we are making it await and then passing the URL text there. Now we have the using here. We can do whatever operation we want here with this particular response, like checking the status code. I am just currently leaving it empty because our objective is to implement this function which will be actually printing out the certificate information. Here we can see we have this object which gives the primary certificate, and we have an X509 chain object which will have all the certificates in that given chain. Okay, and you can see this function returns the return type as boolean. So we will actually first go ahead return true here. Now we can use this particular element to print out all the things. Only thing we have to be aware is this handler is being invoked in a different task or a different thread from the UI. So whenever making or calling any changes or making any UI related changes, make sure we use make.invoke, that I will show you in a moment. Okay, for each element in E should be uppercase, the chain object dot chain elements, then we can get the certificate by using element dot certificate, so which will actually return an X509 certificate to object dim cert as X509 certificate 2, which is equal to the element from the chain dot certificate. Now I am using me.invoke the dispatcher so that I can make changes to the UI elements from a different thread. Now over here we can actually use the output text box dot text, and we'll concatenate the existing text. We had already emptied it here when the button is pressed, and then we are actually concatenating because we will have multiple certificates within the chain. Now we can use we can get various properties belonging to that certificate just by using certificate dot, for example, subject. Then we have the issuer and the expiry dates, like not before and not after, other properties like that. So I'll just copy this line and paste it, and here we'll make it issuer here as well. And now I'll replicate this line, for example, not before, not after. So this is the effective date and this is the expiry date. Okay, also we can print out the row content of the certificate. I am using this underscore so that we can keep the code as multi-line. You can print out the row content, get row certificate data as string, and then we can append a line so that we can distinguish between it, and then we have to make it into different new lines, so we can actually append it over here. After every new line, just add this, and then I will add few more new lines so that we can clearly distinguish between various certificates. I think that's pretty much, we are done with it. We'll try running it. We have the application, so we can give http:// net, and so now we can see the certificate has been fetched, and you can see the subject, issuer, effective date, expiry date, and even the row content of the certificate. Also we can scroll down to see the intermediate certificate and the root certificate in this case. Also you can try with a different domain. We can change it to google.com fetch. So now we can see the certificate here. We can see the subject, issuer, effective date, expiry date, and even the row content. Now you can scroll down to see the intermediate certificate. There can be multiple intermediate certificates in a given chain, and then as we scroll down to the last, we will get the root certificate for this particular domain. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.